Hello everybody, it is nice to see you guys back again. There's not much to say here, so just enjoy the video. Here are the tallies that we've got. We've got Star Eyes 5, and we've got 2 continuity breaks so far. We'll see if any of those change throughout the rest of the episode, and yes they do. And we get another tally added onto this. Stay tuned for that. I also forgot to add in the last episode that every time that there is a spoiler, I'm probably just going to call it foreshadowing, as that is something I do on a daily while watching movies and my family doesn't like it, but I'm going to say it here. So the second episode of Steven Universe is called Laser Light Cannon, which basically just tells us the main plot of this episode. It is about Steven's mom's laser light cannon, which I don't think ever comes up back again, so there's that. We start out with a shot of Steven and Amethyst running towards the Beach City Fries, and I think that's just its name. I wish we had more of a special name to call it. I think that the Fry family calls it the Fry Shop at one point, and it's really not much of a shop. It's more like a Sonic In-N-Out type of thing. Steven tells Fryman to give him the bits, and Fryman tells him they're closed. It's like the middle of the day. Why are you closed in the middle of the day? But first, let's talk about Fryman's fit, as that is what I'm doing now. He is totally built like a hammer, and that is for sure. He's got a basic red shirt and some shorts. It kind of mirrors Steven just a little bit. He's got a bit of a goatee, a red hat, and I can't really tell if this is his hair or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's also a nice touch because the hair is sort of like dreads that resemble Fry's, which groups the Fry family all together so we can easily tell who they are and who they're all related. Lastly, he has a white apron and yellow shoes. He's just a nice food service guy, not much else to say. Amethyst then buds in and tells him to give him the bits. This just shows that Amethyst is willing to stick up for Steven for even as something as minor as fry scraps. She is the only one with Steven at the moment, which shows us once again that she is the closest with him. Steven and Amethyst start chanting the bits, and it's a really, really cute thing that pops up here and there throughout the series. Fryman gives in and gives them the leftover bits, and from what I could find, the bits are leftover pieces of fries and the batter that falls off. It sounds really good. I kind of want some right now. As they're talking, Steven starts talking about the sunset, and he makes some Star Eyes number 6. Also, with the intro, I am going to count that as number 5. I'm not going to repeat the counting for each of the intros, as that's just going to get chaotic, so I'm only doing 1. Steven then talks about the second sun in the sky getting bigger at sunset, and Amethyst looks at it, and bro, that is not the second sun. This really just shows how Steven doesn't pay attention to all the crazy stuff going around him, and he just thinks it's normal. The poor baby never went to school. We move to the next scene, and Garnet and Pearl are looking at it. I'm pretty sure it's like a massive hamster ball. I don't think we ever see this telescope again, but I'll definitely call it out if we do. Amethyst and Steven show up, and Pearl is upset that they weren't here earlier. She says that some of them are trying to protect humanity. Pearl is just so stuck up, and then Amethyst pays no attention to it and says that they were eating fry bits. Garnet just stands here, and she should say stuff more often, but she's just standing there. Steven then wants to look at it from the telescope, and we see it's a giant eyeball thing, but its iris is similar to a camera lens, which is a really cool touch. Pearl tells him it's a red eye. Steven freaks out and says they're going to infect us all, and Garnet tells him that's pink eye in a monotone voice, and that's a pretty good joke. I like that joke. Let's talk a bit about this scene. Garnet does not have any emotion. She's just sort of standing here, and it makes her kind of mysterious, but also wise-ish. Steven is freaking out, but he's also very intrigued by it, once again showing his childlike nature. Amethyst is not taking the situation seriously, showing her laid-back personality. Pearl is absolutely freaking out, showing she's losing control of the situation, as she loves to keep everything in order, and we also see that later on at the end of the series. In her head, she keeps everything alphabeticized, which is just something she totally would do. Pearl then tells us that it will crash down onto Beach City and kill all of the innocent people, so they need to stop it. Garnet says the only thing powerful enough to destroy it is a light cannon, which was owned by Rose Quartz, and finally, we get some lore. Going back, Garnet, that is definitely not true, and you can swim in lava. You could destroy that thing very easily. Steven then replies, "My mom," and this is the first time we learn of her or her name. So keep this, dear viewers, it is very important. That is his whole arc. This is the series. The crystal gems then get extremely upset, and she said, if it were here, it would be so much easier. And that is horrible to say in front of Steven especially. He is the one who wants her here the most. Star Eyes number 7. Steven says that if it's something of his mom's, his dad's would probably have it, and this is the first time we hear of his dad as well. At this point, we have no clue how his parents met, but they are being talked about in the same scene, so this is important as well. Pearl voices her concerns, showing that she doesn't trust him. This is a weird thing from the start, as she is his guardian, but Greg is his father, so why would they not trust each other? But we don't know the reason until way later in the series. It's not just Pearl, but Amethyst says that he's kind of a screw-up, which is interesting to add because Amethyst and Greg have more relationship than the other crystal gems, albeit a toxic one. But Garnet then decides that they'll figure it out on her own, and she yeets Amethyst into the giant floating orb thing. She doesn't make it, and that's another pretty funny joke. Our next scene is the car wash, and that is the first time we see it. I'm also wondering what the elephant could be about, and I'm pretty sure it's the reference to the pink elephant car wash in Seattle, Washington. I might have the location off here, but I don't think we do. I think it's just a funny reference. I think they are definitely in Cape May, New Jersey. It's just a funny reference. The pink might also have to do with rose quartz, and I am going to say rose quartz now instead of Steven's mom because it was stated in the show at this point. So we get to see the van. Steven jumps on the van and the alarm goes off, waking Greg, and his first lines are, "Who's there? I have a waffle iron." Steven, what is this intro, man? Let's talk about his fit as well. So he is a balding man with a dad bod, and we can tell that this is Steven's dad because of that. He's got attributes of a father. He has on a white tank top, ripped jean shorts, and green sandals, and this matches Steven's fit as well. A weird part about this is that Steven's hair doesn't match up with Rose's or Greg's hair, and I'm sort of confused where he gets it from. The shape does come up, but not the color. The black doesn't match the brown or the pink. Lastly, Greg has a beard, I think, and he has pretty bad tan lines, so you can totally tell he's outside most of the time. This is a literal homeless guy fit, I swear. Going back to Greg's intro, we never see him do this. He is not confrontational, and as we can see in the first episode of the second season, he doesn't tell the gems how he feels at all. It's a funny gag, but it's not something that he would do. We also never hear his car alarm again, and the way he blinks slowly, turns the car alarm off, and then just questions Steven is really, really funny. Steven then asks him if he wants to pal around, which could be to a later song reference. Palling around don't cost nothing. Or learn some lessons about life. Steven tells him no, and this guy never gets to spend time with his kid, I swear. Steven then tells him about the canon, and Greg flips out saying that the gems told me not to get involved with the magic stuff. It could be dangerous or interfere with what's left of my hair. Greg has no idea. Look, he's non-confrontational, like I just said. This could also be why he doesn't get involved with his kid or the gems, because he was told not to. But does he always follow what he's been told? I don't know, I guess that's just another thing to add to remember. Steven asks where the candid could be. He says it could be a cave dungeon, which could be a reference to a multitude of places, or a cloud fortress, which could be this place in Steven Universe Future, or in a clam at the bottom of the ocean, like this place in a near episode. I didn't talk about this in my first episode, but there is a lot of foreshadowing in most media, and the most recognizable one I can think of right now is in Finding Nemo. At the very start of the movie, Nemo talks to his father, Marlin, about sharks and jellyfish and sea turtles. Marlin is not amused, and he later goes on in the movie to meet every single one of those sea animals. The same thing could be something like Steven Universe, since we know at this point everything is planned out from the statue. Anyway, back to Greg takes Steven to a shed where he keeps most things that don't fit in the van, and we also see this in a couple more episodes. We even see it in the movie as well, so it's quite important. It kind of tells us that Greg is sort of a nomad, and he doesn't have a house. All he has is a van. Steven gears up, and I am not counting this as star eyes. Tell me if you want, I'm not adding it. Steven ventures into the shed like it's a cave, and let's see if there are any Easter eggs in here. Greg has a rock tour of 79 9 in it, so this could mean one of 3 things. We are not in the future, we are in an alternate dimension, or Greg just likes rock and roll memorabilia, which could be true as we see from this pinball machine. So I think maybe we could be in the 80s or so. We also could be in the present time in an alternate place, or I don't know, this is TV show logic. I have no clue. We also see a Mario mushroom here, and this could be a reference to Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. Man, it looks like Greg has a lot of hobbies that he wants to learn, just to name a few of them.
Golf, fishing, deep sea diving, archery, bongos, harpoon fishing, canoeing, crochet, drumming, darts, tennis, keyboard, guitar, which he does play, chess, basketball, a yoga mat, and a dumbbell, which this does get used in a near episode if you guys know. Why does he have so many Aztec masks? He's also got 2 arcade machines, a spear, and did I already say surfboard? He's got 2 surfboards.
Does this count as hoarding? And now finally let's get into what they're talking about. Greg tells Steven that when he played a concert in Beach City, no one showed up except for Rose, and they were always together after that until she gave up her physical form to bring Steven into the world. Bro, that's deep, and that gives us so much lore. This is the first time we hear of this part about him playing at Beach City in a concert and that he met Rose there. We'll actually see this in a future episode. At this scene, we also see a photo of Rose for the first time, which coincidentally also has Greg eating a hot dog, which I talked about in my last episode. Something about Rose Quartz is that in every single photo we see of her, she has her eyes closed, which is her hiding her true identity or her emotions. Her closed eyes also give a feeling or a sense of sorrow for how she is sorrowful of her past. Steven accidentally breaks the photo and Greg tells him it's okay, and first pork chop line, it is okay. If every pork chop were perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs. What a line, my guy. And since it keeps repeating, this is totally a message that Rebecca Sugar wants us to hear. I'm gonna call this hot dog number 1. Steven then finds the light cannon and Greg pulls it out with his van, and they do this to bring it to the peach. The peach. Greg then repeats his hot dog line again, and I am going to count this. Hot dog number 2. Steven then plays Greg's song, Let Me Drive My Van Into Your Heart, which I will go over in a separate video, so I've got the episodes, the title sequences, and I will be doing deep dives into the songs as well. They'll all be in the same playlist, so I don't know, figure it out. Greg gets very blushed and Steven starts singing, and in a future episode, as some of you may know, this does get mirrored with Steven driving and Greg in the passenger seat with a different song, but it's funny to see it here.
Goofy face.
They make it to the beach and the house's roof gets torn off. Continuity number 3. The fry sign comes off too, and I am going to count that as continuity number 4. Although I think they do fix it, I'm still going to count it. No one seems to figure out how to use the light cannon, and the gems think that since Steven has Rose's gem, he can make it work, and I'm starting to realize that this episode is just Steven's whole life. Everyone thinks that since he's Rose, he can fix everything. He's not Rose, he's just a kid. So to quote Steven in his next line, everyone's counting on you, you can't just be useless, I know you can help. He is talking to the light cannon, but in a psychology study, I have no clue where, I'll find it right here. When a person is angry, they project, so you have to turn the words around. So what Steven is actually saying here is that everyone is counting on me. I can't be useless, I know I can help. This is such a deep-rooted part of his character, they have a whole other show about his drama. How did we not see this sooner? Steven then says the hot dog line number 3, and this turns on the light cannon, and it's like a flower. It's actually beautiful. Star eyes number 8. The cannon fires and we get a beautiful vision of Rose. The thing explodes in the sky and the town breaks. I'm gonna count all of that as continuity number 5. Pearl then asks him what turned it on, and he says it's the thing about the hot dogs. We then see Greg crying, and oh my word, the guy misses his wife so much. Did they get married? They didn't get married. Okay, so they're just really good lovers. Anyway, he misses her a lot. We then get the hot dog line number 4 from Greg and continuity number 6. But the van is fine. Also, while there is so much chaos going on, this nice love song about vans is playing and it gives the scene more of a silly vibe. It's a definite contrast as they are trying not to die and the song is talking about love. Overall, this episode started out really slow, but when we got new info about Rose Quartz, there's just so much lore going on there. We also learn a little bit more about Steven's insecurities and how that sticks with him throughout the series. This light cannon never shows up again, and there is so much continuity, the whole town breaks. The light cannon never shows up, and nor does that thing in the sky, although it might, I don't know. Overall, this is kind of a mid-episode other than the lore drops, but the lore drops do make it better, so I'm giving it a higher rate. Adios!